What's going on, guys? For 2026, I have made it my mission to bring you guys as many new things as possible. This is our Silo EAA Plus Hydration, and we have peach rings and sour watermelon. Two new flavors dropped this month, and we also have white chocolate raspberry is our flavor of the month for our isolate. So get to hostile.com right now. Pick up the two new flavors of Silo and a new flavor of protein. All three are awesome. And look for the newest flavor coming in March. What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to RBP News. I'm Fouad Abiad. I'm here with Suki from BTS TV. And for a little while, we tried to do something. We wanted to do something a little bit different than everybody else and just kind of separate out all the news stories for you guys so that you guys could pick and choose what you want to watch. I thought it would go over well. I thought you guys might like to just be able to like not watch one and watch the other, and they're kind of short little bits. But turns out you guys like it when we just blab on for half an hour. So, Suki, we're back to regular business. I got the timer behind us if we want to use it. But if we don't, let's just roll through the news, and we're just going to bang them out one by one. So,
and we have listened to you guys because we are doing timestamps as well. So
yes,
if you want to skip to a different story, it's all there.
That's the best part about it. So this way, you guys can still pick and choose what you want to watch. It'll just be in the timestamps in the description, and we can roll through it that way. So anyways, to the news, we have a bunch of it.
Yeah, especially when I want to hear you talk about fit models, so now you know exactly where to go to. Anyway, skipping that, there is no fit model today, maybe tomorrow. We're going to start off with the big story for the weekend, and I found out this bit of detail a couple of days before it was announced, and that is Nick Walker, his new supper brand that he's now part of. Now, of course, we already saw he ditched HD Muscle from his bio. We assumed an announcement would be coming very soon, especially before the Arnolds. And it has. It's Morphogen Nutrition, and it's also part ownership stake. We don't know what his percentage is anyway, but what he is doing now is he's partnered with a brand that's predominantly just based in the US in Morphogen Nutrition, and he is part owner. So he's got equity, he's got percentage into the company. Throughout, I think this is something that we kind of thought would be the case, especially when he's been with HD, Raw, Hostile. It was where would he go next? I imagine a lot of people have thought that potentially he's going to have some sort of part ownership stake in the next company he's associated himself with, and that is Morphogen.
Yeah, so listen, I think this is a really, really big deal. It's big for Nick. I think it's a good move on his part. Nick is obviously one of, if not the most popular bodybuilder on earth. Everybody knows Nick Walker. The interesting thing is, you know, when Sam was signed with Hostile, I met a lot of younger people. A lot of them don't know open class bodybuilders, but they all knew Nick Walker. So in my opinion, he is the most popular bodybuilder on earth right now. And for him to be part owner of a brand, it's good for him to leverage that popularity into more than just a 1-year contract. Now, the other good thing about this is it kind of locks him in. I don't think we're going to see Nick bounce again and again and again, because now if he's part owner of the brand, it almost solidifies the fact that he's going to be there. And we're not going to see him leave a year from now or 2 years from now and go somewhere else. So, or at least you would hope. So on a couple different fronts, it's a really good move for Nick. Now, the other thing about it is now the responsibility lies on his shoulders. Yes, Morphogen Nutrition is a good company. They have other athletes. I'm sure they're doing well, but I'm sure there's some kind of clause in that contract that his pay is going to rise and fall with his ownership stake. So there's more responsibility on him to provide what the company wants. It's a good move on Morphogen's part too, because now they know, like, look, I'm a supplement owner. If you sign an athlete for a year, you don't know if he's going to stay after the year. You don't know if he's going to bounce somewhere else, whatever he's going to do. This is kind of a good move on Morphogen's part because now they've locked him in. It's not only a good move in locking him in, it's a good move in that he has to work. It's not like they're going to be chasing him for YouTube videos or doing this or doing that or posting this or posting that. He's part owner now. So he has just as much reason to post as they want him to post. So it's kind of a good move all around. I think Nick gets what he wants. Morphogen is going to get an athlete in Nick that they want, and I think this is kind of a smart play for both parties.
Who's taking the bigger risk, Morphogen or Nick?
I don't really think there's a risk. Period.
Well,
In this.
let me say this: if Nick is doing, look, I say a risk like Nick equity, how big can the brand go? What would I make in regards to money wise? But on a Morphogen point of view, they've chose Nick Walker to
Mhm.
be the name, the guy to give him the stake.
Yeah.
But is there a risk where do they need him to have a successful year? Do they need him to turn out into the big shows? Like we've seen him miss some of the big ones before, the Olympia twice.
Yeah.
Do they need him to be active?
Look, I think people forget the arc of Nick's career. Nick, he is going to do well. There is no doubt. Look, will Nick ever win an Olympia? I don't know. But even if he's in the top six for the rest of his career, that's a great athlete to have on your roster. So there's kind of little risk on Morphogen's part, especially now that they've made him part owner. They don't have as much risk in him leaving. So that's not a problem. And there's not much risk on Nick's part because he's entering into a deal with a good company where he's going to get back as much as he puts in. So I don't want to say there's no risk because people are like, well, Nick could do this and Nick can do that. The fact that they've made him part owner kind of solidifies the deal for both parties. And as far as him being a good athlete and producing, look, even if Nick, this is the crazy thing about Nick, even if he doesn't do well anymore, which is not going to happen, even if he doesn't do well anymore, he's still an interesting character. People still like to watch him. People still like to watch his videos. So he's going to be a good sign for them, regardless of whether he wins an Olympia or he's just a good bodybuilder for the rest of his career.
Let me throw this away. We know he's now got a gym that we're opening, which is part owned as well.
Mm-hmm.
He's got a part ownership of a sub brand.
Yep.
When you got these now, which is giving some longevity to when it comes to revenue streams, is there a chance that maybe Nick could be looking away from a stage and maybe decide to step away in the next year or two?
No, this is a play where Nick can now. Nick is basically entering into deals with people that he maybe has relationships with, and he sees that he's comfortable with them. He sees kind of longer term partnerships in that they're more like he is, I guess. So he's not entering into a deal where he's like, maybe I'll like them, maybe I won't. The fact that he's signed into part ownerships means that he likes these people. He thinks he can get along with them for a long time. And it doesn't mean Nick is leaving. It actually is the opposite. It means that now Nick just gets to compete. These companies, whether it's the gym or whether it's the Morphogen, nobody's asking to sit in the office and push papers around. They're basically saying, Nick, you go be Nick, and we will take care of what we have to do on our end, and everybody's happy. So now this will allow him to not worry about anything anymore. He can just be a bodybuilder and let the business people take care of the business shit and the formula people take care of the formula shit. And Nick just gets to be the bodybuilder. And I think everybody's happy. I think this is probably, if I had to say, I think this is probably the best place Nick has been in since he started.
Well, I guess if Nick ends up winning the Arnold Classic in 2.5 weeks' time, I mean, geez, stock goes right up for Morphogen Nutrition.
Right, right. I mean, this is a look. Whether Nick ends up in fourth or ends up in first, if he ends up in first, it's obviously a big deal for Morphogen. But I don't think they're not going to lose either way here. They got, like I said, they got a popular bodybuilder, whether he's on stage, off stage, placing really, really well or placing just out of really well. They got a good sign either way. So I think this is a good deal all around. There's no negatives here.
Let's talk about Rafa Brandao. He's dropping more and more updates, and I think we're starting to see his physique change a little bit more now as we get closer to the Arnold Classic. If we go to the BTS TV page, we got this little clip of how he's currently looking at just under 3 weeks out from the Arnold Classic in Ohio. So if you just scroll down, we'll be able to get this one as well. That's the picture we have, the most recent update of Rafa. If you go back up, sorry, Fuad,
Yeah.
you click on the right picture there, just below Dino.
Okay. Is there another
This
one
is
here?
the most recent update we have.
This one here. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
this one.
Yeah. He looks incredible, but this is not the part I want to see. Like this is great for Rafael. He looks absolutely phenomenal. But the thing about this is Rafael always looks phenomenal from the front. Quads separated, stripped out in the middle, delts strided, chest looks full, waist looks small. This is all awesome, but this is what we expect from Rafa. What we want to see is what has he done with the back? The last video he posted where he did turn to the back and hit a couple of back shots, it was a little less impressive than I would like to see. But from the front, I mean, he can compete with anybody in that top four all day long. It's when he starts to turn to the side and to the back where you start to lose a little bit of that density. So it's a nice update. It's nice to see him on track, but I need to see more.
What are the front shots that Rafa could challenge, like be like a top two, a top three guy in the Arnold Classic? What are the shots which will allow him to hold his own?
It's tricky. If you say a front lat spread, you're going to give that to Andrew all day long, right?
I'm talking about the top three.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. You're saying top three. I'm saying Andrew's going to win like that front lat spread, right? Right.
Yeah.
Rafa might be able to be in top two, top three in that front lat spread. Front double bicep, I can't see him in it because it's going to be Andrew, it's going to be Hottie, it's going to be Martin. Rafa might be able to compare with Martin in a front double, but I don't know. He's just not as heavily muscled as he needs to be because of the size of his frame. This is why I say, like, when he's posing, it's a really pretty physique. It's really well put together. It's just maybe not as dense as it needs to be to compare with the top guys in, 1 through 4.
Well, look, one guy who is making his official pro debut, he won the Arnold Classic, the amateur show last year, and that is A-Train Anthony. And he's been sharing his own updates of how he is looking, how he is going into his pro debut at the Arnold Classic. If we go onto his page, like I said, he's been very transparent in sharing his own updates. He took the pro card in 2025, which allowed him to have that automatic qualification to compete in Ohio. And yeah, I want to just play this out for Ed and really hear your thoughts on what we're seeing from Anthony.
I think it's a beautiful physique. I think John Jewett has done an amazing job with him. His conditioning looks phenomenal. You see the detail on the side of the leg here, some striations through the chest. I'd like to see a little bit more through the delt and the arms, but it looks like he's going to be prepped very, very well. He's going to be on stage, peaked very, very well. Glutes from the back, strided. Lower back is dry. Skin thickness through the back is getting thinner and thinner, like you can see that. But the thing that you do see here is he has a big frame, and that back is not necessarily the size of a guy with a big frame. So he's posting a lot of updates because he really has nothing to lose. It's new for him. Nobody's expecting him to win. He can kind of just show out and be like, look, this is who I am. I'm bringing it, blah, blah, blah. I got a nice physique. I'm proud of my physique. And he should be. But when we're talking about comparing with the top guys, which I don't think we should be, this is his pro debut.
No.
You know what I mean? This isn't, I don't think Anthony is expecting to go in and beat Andrew Jack. This is going to be a really good debut. If he can beat somebody like Mo Fuda or Akeem, or even stand next to Rafael and compare where people are like, wow, look at this new guy. He's really good. I think that's a victory for him. He just needs to stand next to some of these guys who are veterans. Akeem's been around for a long time. Rafael's been around for a while now. If he can stand next to either of these guys and look like he compares, or even challenge them in a few shots, that's a victory for Anthony. He's going to have a great career. He's just another guy with a really big frame. He's really well put together. It just got to get more density to it.
Would you expect to see him in Detroit the week after?
Yes, we are actually expecting. He's confirmed.
Oh,
Anthony,
is he? Sorry.
Yeah, Anthony will be in Detroit, so it'll be nice to see him under those lights next to Mo. It'll be like, he'll get more of a look. I think he'll get a better look in Detroit, seeing as he'll be, closer to the top of that competitor list.
Is that a lineup that you expect him to try and challenge for a top three placing?
Yeah, I think we could see, there's a lot of guys jumping into Detroit, and we also don't know, like with Nick Walker, if Nick doesn't win, or if it wasn't doesn't win the Arnold, does he jump into Detroit? But let's assume, let's just assume Nick is doing Detroit. You got Nick, Mo, Ron Gordon is always a crowd favorite. Anthony could be, Anthony could be in that top three. It's going to be interesting. It's going to be a really interesting comparison for him, but he's going to get a good look, and that's the most important thing. A little bit smaller show, eyeballs will be on him definitely at that show.
Moving on to classic physique. One guy we not spoke about for a bit is Gabriel Zancanelli, who took all of 2025 out. He's been sharing more updates. We actually had an update yesterday. Even Ramon Dino was impressed because we know he is part of his coaching team is Pat Show. If we go to Gabriel's Instagram page, I believe that is where we have an update. I mean, this is the front and the back from Gabriel taken from his YouTube channel, but we've got some videos here.
Wow.
Here we go. With three,
Yeah.
This is 3 weeks out now.
Okay, so it's very impressive. Structurally, it's very impressive. Legs look really good. The thing is, when you start comparing the tip with guys like Mammoll and Menegate and things like that, the front lat spread is really good. But you're going to start to pick out little things that maybe don't look as good as some of the guys at the very top. In this front lat spread, shoulders look great, arms look great. The waist, though, doesn't look as nice as I'd like it to look in a front lat spread in classic. In classic, you really, really never, ever want your waist to look big. You don't want it to look like a bigger space. You don't want it to want it to look like it's taking up a lot of volume. You don't want it to look thick. I think in this front lat spread, it kind of looks a little bigger than I think he wants it to look. In the front double, it's great, but when you're standing next to guys like Mammoll and Vissers and Sommerfeld and Menegate, you're going to need a little bit more sweep on that tricep, a little bit more thickness in that lat. So he's good. He's very, very good. He's got a really great structure. He's got a lot of muscle. Dino just pointed out those hamstrings. For sure, those are wild. It's just there's small things I think that might set him out of the top three, top four.
Who have you got in your potential top three in the classic physique?
Wesley, Sommerfeld, Mammoll, not in any particular order. And then I think Menegate's challenging for that top three spot, but Mammoll is very impressive. Like when you look at that physique, you're like, okay, this is somebody who might have, I don't know if he got overlooked, maybe didn't come in the way he wanted to at the Olympia, but this is somebody.
Told you, mate. Told you what happened at Olympia. He didn't even hear what was going on. He missed it.
What do you mean?
He when they called Andrea out,
Yeah.
but because he wasn't listening properly,
Right.
he didn't step forward. He just stayed back of the line.
Oh no.
So he only realized 3 or 4 call outs later, he was supposed to be, I think, in the third call out.
So
he would have got
overlooked.
placing basically, but
Yeah.
he wasn't listening.
Well, listen, he's going to get a very, very good look here at the Arnold, and I definitely think he's going to be in that top 4 at least. I suspect he's going to be in that top 3. In my opinion, it's going to be Wesley, Sommerfeld, and Mammoll in that top 3. Not necessarily in any particular order, but that to me is the top 3 in the classic at the Arnold.
And do you still feel the real battle for first place is between Mike and Wesley?
I don't know, man. I don't know. Honestly, I might be too big on this guy because sometimes when you see people by themselves, they maybe are a little bit more impressive than when you see them next to other guys, because structure does matter. If somebody's put together really, really well, but they're very small, it can take away from the impressiveness of how they compete. But when you see this physique, like this is classic. Like this screams classic when you look at Mamoll's physique. So it's hard to think that he would be out of the top 3. But again, we're looking at this by himself. So, I don't know. I don't know if he can challenge for that top two. When you see this, when you see this photo, you're like, yes, that's the winner. That guy's going to win for sure. But when you see him stand next to Wesley and next to Mike and next to Menegate, then I think the structure might matter because he looks like he is a smaller dude. So we'll see. We'll see. He's going to be up there though.
Away from the Arnold Classic, I want to talk about one of my guys who I really hope will make the Olympia 2026 in the open division. He's from Spain, Joan. He shared a recent update at 305 pounds. If we go onto the BTS TV platform, I did post a clip from his most recent YouTube video. Now we know he is targeting the American shows around July to early August time to try and win his qualification to the Olympia.
So
Go on.
I'm gonna
Say
go.
something there.
I'm gonna play the video on BTS. When I see this, like this guy is not effing around anymore. Like I remember I had a conversation with Stefan from Boss of Outlaw, Urz's coach, and he was saying basically that we had this discussion before on this platform. We had this discussion before when you're predicting somebody's future, you have to take their past and how long they've taken to get where they are, and if they'll reach their potential in time before their career is over. And Stefan's position was that Joan was probably not going to get there because he's just never really gotten there. He's never really gotten in the condition he needs to be in. He's never really put on the muscle and time that he has to, and he might not reach his potential. I disagreed. But the thing is, Stefan has seen him much more. He's seen him at all the European shows. He's seen him compete from the time he started. So I don't know. Maybe he has some knowledge about it that I don't. But what I see when I look at those photos and the video is a guy who's decided to turn it up a couple notches, and he's taking it very, very seriously. And it, like I said, you remember we were talking last week, and I said sometimes guys kind of have a breakout year where their physique just changes. That is this year for him. Like you can see it. He's definitely, like last year he put on a ton of size. It looks like it's happening again. And if he puts on another, like, look at that back shot. Like, that's insane. Like, the thickness in his back. If he just keeps building those hamstrings, like, that's the area I see there that's a little lagging behind a little bit. But if he just keeps on going, like, this is not, I don't know. I just have to disagree with Stefan that this is somebody that I do think can break into that top 10 and be competitive.
Well, look, last year in 2025, the shows he picked, the shows he competed in, there was never really one show where you felt, okay, you know what, he could take the win. Andrea Presti in Poland, it felt like it was Andrea's show. Romania, Andrew Jack, even Japan. Yeah. It was going to be a tough ask to go against Sean Clarida.
Right.
But then, of course, there was the Spain show, Big Man Weekend, which in the end, he didn't compete in. That felt like that was a show to go and do and get your qualification. That was the one. Now, this year, we spoke about this before. He's targeting some of these American shows. I think it's like Tampa, Texas, Atlanta, July, August time. These are the ones where we expect to see Jordan, Quinton, Hunter, so on. Now, is this, with his physique improving, and we hope to see him at Olympia 2026, could these potentially be the wrong shows to go for? Should he be focusing on the European side, or should it be, you know what, if I'm good enough, then I'll win. So I'm going to go against the best I can compete against.
Look, if I was advising him, I would say you're doing really well. Your off season is going really well. You're growing, and I would ride that train as long as I could until the very last minute. So basically, what I'm saying is this. Whatever the last show of the year is, or second last show of the year is, that's the one I would target. And if it's a European show, it's a European show. Ride this train out as long as, do what Samson's doing. Put on as much muscle as you can and just ride it until it gets solidified. And then that way, when you start to get peeled down and get shredded, the new muscle that you've added is not just going to disappear with your cut. So just hold on to that and wait till the last shows. Those shows in the middle of the year, those America, the Tampa and Texas, that's murderer's row, man. You can't those are deep, deep lineups, and especially if Hunter's entering that. I don't think Joan can beat Hunter at this point. So if you want to get back to the Olympia, which should be the goal, do the last shows of the year, pick the last two. That way you have, if you don't win one, you have another one to go on, and then get your qualification and get on stage. Because the flip side of the argument is also valid. I got to compete against these guys, and if I can't beat them, then I shouldn't be there anyway. Totally valid. But give yourself a better opportunity, because maybe you're not ready to beat Hunter, which means maybe you're not in the top 6 at the Olympia, but maybe you're ready to beat somebody else who could put you in the top 10. So beating somebody like a Hunter is a big deal. So I don't know if that's the right decision to want to go into those shows and try and beat, somebody who's in the top 5 at the Olympia.
Well, we'll see what happens when Joan does make his trip to the US. Maybe he might change his plans. Maybe he might end up focusing on the European shows, which at least that way will give him better opportunity to make the Olympia 2026.
Before you go on, the thing is, Joan did 5 shows last year, 6? I don't know, 5, I think it was.
Yeah.
He might do the American shows and then go back and do the European shows. The thing about it is this is the only problem with that. People love that. Like, yeah, we want to see guys compete as much as possible. That's great if you can nail your condition. We have yet to see Joan really at 100%. So if his plan is to do the American shows, and then if I don't win, I'll go to the European shows, that's not a great plan if you're always going to be 90%. Pick the shows where you can go in and really focus. If it's only 1 or 2, and that's where you put all of your heart and soul, where you can be 100%, be 100% shredded, and really show what your best is. That's better than doing 5 shows at 80% and just saying, I did 5 shows. That's not going to get you where you want to be. Really put it together and show up at your best. Then we'll see what Joan's really made of.
Well, look, one person we're going to see what they're made of. That's another European competitor. We're going to men's physique. Andrei Deiu. The guy that has 5+ million followers, seems to get a haircut every single day. He won't be long until he's heading to the US for the Arnold Classic. If we go to Andrei's page, he dropped a physique update, and for many people believe this is the guy that could push the 3-time Olympia champion Brandon Hendrickson right to the edge. Andrei secured his Olympia qualification at Romania, so he is already back at the Olympia, but he's dropped this update. I know men's physique division you're starting to get more to it. You're starting to show more interest in all the guys.
Yeah.
We've talked about Andrei before. When you see this kind of front pose and the back, I'm really keen to hear your assessment for what you already know about Brandon.
Look, he's got a beautiful physique. He's got a tiny waist, huge back. I mean, that's amazing. Like, that's really, really nicely put together. Shoulders are huge. I know his arms are big, but there's something that the triceps leave something to be desired. The thing about it is the waist, even though the abs are deeply separated, I like Brandon's waist better. And if I'm looking at an overall silhouette, I actually like Brandon's physique a little bit better than Andrei's. Andrei's a big guy, and he's got a really big frame. He looks awesome. Don't get me wrong. But when I stand him next to Brandon might be a little bit smaller, but I feel like, you see the obliques here, how they kind of come out a little bit?
Yeah.
Brandon doesn't have that. Brandon's waist is just small all the way through, and I think it's a little bit smaller through the top as well. That, I think, makes all the difference to me, especially when we're talking about men's physique. So, like I said, I'm not a men's physique expert, but I do kind of know what they're looking for, and I feel like the waist size, as long as Brandon's in shape, is going to be the difference maker there.
Away from the Arnold Classic, I want to talk about the classic physique champion, Ramon Dino. It's the first time he's actually now said 31 weeks out until the Olympia. He's now very much back in the gym, all refreshed from some time away from maybe what he needs to do. He's now back in the gym more regularly with Pat Show. I dropped an update. He lifted up a shirt. He gave us an idea about what his conditions currently looking like at the moment. He's going to be at the Arnold Classic. I believe he's going to be doing some guest posing at Pittsburgh with the open guys. That's what I've heard. if we go on the BTS TV page, we got a little clip of how Ramon is looking at the moment. Look, it's Ramon. He's a big name. It's 31 weeks out from title. Yes, it's a long way away, but it is what you expect to see from the guys up top to keep themselves in very good nick. I mean, clearly, look, if we've seen some of the other pictures already, he's looking absolutely huge at the moment.
Yeah, I mean, look, he can't get any bigger. He's obviously at the weight cap, and this is what he's got to do. He's just got to stay in shape and try and refine whatever he has built to this point. He's not in the mode where he's trying to add mass anymore. So yes, and he is the champion. And the champion in classic is different than the champion in open. If you're the champion in classic, you're expected to look good all the time. And this is it. This is what being the best of the best looks like, even when he's not competing. So yeah, I expect it. He's playing the part. He's doing it right, and I think that's awesome. I also wanted to show this, which I thought was really cool. This is kind of like this is just a very Ramon. Like when I don't know Ramon at all, but when I think of Ramon, like this is a very like Ramon photo. I thought it was really cool. I'm like, this is the champ. This is what he's doing. The champ is out doing his thing. So I thought that was cool.
What areas does he need to really focus on to ensure that it's not a 1 point decision again at the Olympia? That this time it's a wipeout. What does he need to do in the off season?
I don't know if this is going to be a popular opinion, but I don't think Ramon can have a wipeout. Like Ramon is not Chris. Chris had a very unique structure. So when he was peaked well and in shape, it was very hard to contend with. Ramon has a beautiful physique, but I don't know if it's so unique that like we've never seen anything like it before. But it's so pretty that when it's put together well, it is going to win. For Ramon, I think he just has to focus on coming in and peaking well. I don't think he can change his physique in any way that's going to make him, the Ronnie Coleman or the Chris Bumstead of Classic or whatever. I think he's got to just focus on making sure that he comes in shape and he peaks well. And if he does that, I think he can win again. I do think he is the best classic guy. I just think that's his focus is I have to make sure I'm peaked properly. I don't see Ramon changing the physique in any way that's going to make him just blow out everybody else.
Do you see anybody in that class physique lineup that could actually go do 3 or 4 wins back to back? Or is class physique always going to be one of those where it could chop and change every single year, especially when you've got that exception to the rule, Chris Bumstead out of the picture?
I personally think, look, man, it's like this in any competitive sport. Like when you're talking about bodybuilding, you're talking about classic, there are people that come along once in a while that are like generational, like they're iconic. Like this is a different thing we're seeing. It's a completely different, this is out of the box. And currently in classic, I don't know if I see that. I see a lot of awesome physiques. I don't see anybody who's just going to walk on and all of a sudden just start destroying everybody. Now, somebody might grow into that. Chris wasn't that person from day one. He was very competitive from day one, but he wasn't that. He grew into that like really iconic, unique physique that was just too much for everybody else. So maybe somebody could grow into that, but I don't see that currently. Right now in classic, I feel like anybody who's off could switch, right? Like if Ramon is off, Mike can win. If Mike is off, Terrence can step in. Like I don't think there's any one person right now that is dominating everybody else.
Is there anyone that you see that could in time become that person that could dominate classic physique?
I don't know. I see some really unique structures. I see some nice physiques. Like when I look at Menegate, Mammoll looks really nice, but I feel like is a little bit smaller structure. And I don't know if that is the thing that's going to dominate classic. Like Chris, when you look at Chris, it wasn't just that he had a unique, like really big rib cage, very wide shoulders, tiny, tiny hips. Like that bone structure does not come along every day. So I don't know if I see that thing right now. Menegate is promising. He has kind of a similar shape to me. But we have to see it. I think we just have to see guys grow into it. I don't see anybody right now.
Now Darwin?
Niall Darwin is very impressive and has very uh, very impressive proportions. I don't know if he has the same kind of bone structure that is out of this world competitive, out of this world, knock everybody out without even thinking about it. Only because the only reason I say there's one knock on Nile is just the shoulder width, maybe is a little bit more narrow than it needs to be. But that can change. Like, this is what I'm saying. Like, as guys grow, like, if Nile puts on enough mass on the delts where he looks wider, even though he's not, it could change all of that. So, it's really too early to tell. I'm not going to predict anybody's that person right now. Nile is a good choice though. That's a good one I didn't think of right off the top of my head.
Well, look, we're going to finish off on class physique, but I want to try and always highlight maybe an amateur that's coming up the ranks, someone that we should keep an eye on. I want to spotlight because the NPC shows kicked off, I believe in Egypt on the weekend just gone. I want to talk about this 20-year-old that I came across. If you go on the BTS TV page, and we go to this 20-year-old Egyptian in class of physique that won the junior overall, won his high class at the Open, and he's now going into the Marrakesh NPC Pro qualifier. If we click on his page, we've actually got the full video. And his name is Shady Ahmed. Let me know your thoughts here, Fawad. What's your thoughts on this young man? He's only 20 years old.
Amazing. Amazing. I mean, this is 20 years old. This is becoming, the more popular fitness and bodybuilding get, the more normal it becomes to see these 20-year-olds that are just freaks. Like, this leg belongs on an open stage. Look, he's awesome. He's got big limbs. He kind of reminds me of like a Ramon a little bit, really, but with bigger legs. He's got really big limbs. Torso is a little bit smaller. That's kind of why I'm saying what I'm saying, because that's kind of a Ramon thing with like the really big limbs, little smaller torso, small waist. It's really well put together, man. It's impressive. It's very impressive.
Yeah, I came across this because Big Ramy shared it on his Instagram stories. If Big Ramy shared it, clearly he was impressed, which means I guess there's someone to definitely talk about. So I guess we will see him in a couple of weeks where he competes at the Marrakesh NPC Pro Qualifier, where he aims to get his pro card all at the age of 20 years old.
Yeah, he's phenomenal. Crazy. Good find. I'm gonna sign him now hostile now. All right, February 16th. That's the news. Subscribe, like, share. Thanks for watching. We will see you all tomorrow.